Hello and welcome back to Living in Cycles. I am Sindy. I'm an astrologer and I help you to learn from the past, understand the present, and prepare for the future. In this video, I want to talk about divination tools, tools of self-awareness, and why would you use them and how to work with people who using tools of divination or typing systems, and what you might want to think about before you do that. This video is a bit different because I'm on the path of self-growth and I want to learn to be more spontaneous and not to take too much time in preparation for the videos I'm doing, because it takes too much time for me right now, and many videos do not get actually ever out for you to see, because it's all in my mind and I have trouble to get what I have in my mind out. So I try to be more spontaneous, to use less time. This means that I do have my notes here, so I will once in a while look to this sheet and then I will move on. So bear with me. First of all, I want to talk about the tools. Then I talk about you and also about the people who are using tools of divination and typing systems. Why those systems work, you might ask, is that some systems like astrology and typing systems, they actually tell you something about the structure of who you are, the structure of your life. They are different from so-called divination tools like tarot. Divination tools like runes and the tarot, oracle decks, they are more about messages coming from the divine, messages that come from your unconscious. So they help you to get those messages visibly in front of you. So you can look up on the picture and you get the message. They are different from tools like astrology. Of course, you can use all symbolism. It might be coffee grains, or how do you call this? Coffee, tea leaves, whatever, and also astrological symbolism to do divination. And there are techniques in astrology that are actually divination techniques. But it's still different from tools like the tarot. It works because we are all, everything is interconnected. The whole universe, outer space, inner space, planet Earth, you as a microcosm, we are all connected. And in astrology, of course, there is this axiom as above, so below. And what the stars reflect, that is reflected and encapsulated in our bodies, and vice versa. The idea is that everything communicates, everything has a message. Also tarot cards, if you ask for a reading, and the cards, they are a tool, they are just a channel through which the divine can help you to understand something that is in your unconscious, or sometimes it might be even a direct message that comes from God, Goddess. So that's why people are interested in divination tools and tools of typing systems, and also astrology. Before you actually book a reading or go to somebody inquiring a consultation, I want you to think about a few things. First of all, why do you inquire their services? What is your goal? Some people, of course, and this is for everybody actually, in the beginning, they are curious about themselves. They want to hear something about who they are. And that is fine. The next step would be, what are you doing with the information and the insights you gain? And that is what differentiates useful usage of divination tools and astrology and those that can be actually more harmful. Let me explain. When you understand that you are the active part that you want to know something, and you also know how you're going to use that insight you gain. You understand that everything that you hear, everything that you might implement or not, is your decision. You decide. And this should always be the way it is. You should understand that you are the active part. You are deciding to whom you go, what tool you are going to use, or that person you request the service from, and what you do with the outcome. You should also think about the tool that you choose to gain insights into. What is that tool? What are its possibilities and its limits? Every divination tool, every typing system has its limits. So don't expect anything that the tool cannot do. You cannot expect to go to somebody using astrology and explain all your life in one session. And there are also different schools of astrology, for example, that are focused a bit differently. There are different techniques, different approaches to astrology too. When you think of divination tools, think of what they are meant for. What are they doing? Some people might go to a tarot reader and they are expecting a great revelation, something that shakes up their whole world. And it can happen, of course, but you should understand how the human brain works in a way that it has to do with symbolism. It has to do with the pictures that come into mind, and also with the person that is delivering the message, that is interpreting the cards. So don't expect a pure, divinely all revelating, all explaining message. You have to understand that the tool has its limits, but also the people. Think about, in the beginning was what I was talking about, why do you inquire a service of a specific person? What is the tool you choose? Is that tool the right tool you actually want to use? What do you want to know? If you want to know something about the structure of how you are built, the kind of energies that are working within you, you might consult an astrologer and not an oracle deck reader. Think about what would be the type of astrology that answers your questions most. That's all very important. Not every astrologer uses the same techniques. Not every astrologer has the same understanding of how they want to do the astrology and in what they are really good. That gets you to the next step, where you think about, after you've figured out what you want to know, why you inquire someone's services, then you have figured out the tool, and then of course you have to think about whom are you consulting, who is the person you want to work with. And not every person who has gone through a certain certification program does work with the tool in the same way. There are differences. People find their own, the techniques that speak most to them, that call to them. You might want to get to know what are the ethics of this person you consider working with. How do they interact with other people? How do they talk? What about do they talk? You also might want to get to know about how they chose the tool they are working with. Why do they work with a specific tool that helps people maybe see the structure of their energetic field, or why do they use the tarot, and what are they doing with that tool? How do they understand their own tool? What do they think the tool can do, and what do they think about the limits? At this point, I also want to say that you very often hear that people use whatever kind of typing system or divination tool or type of astrology they use. Sometimes you see that they say that they use it intuitively, or they are psychics and they do this in a psychic kind of way. I want you to be careful. Not everybody is a psychic who says they are a psychic. And even if you have the gift, you have to cultivate it. You have to learn how to use it, and you have to understand that you are still a channeler, so you filter everything through yourself, and you as a client also have to know that the message is always, for most of the part, it goes through filters. It's very hard to plainly deliver a message without filters. That's something you have to work on if you have that gift. When somebody says they are psychic or they're doing something intuitively, ask them what they mean by that. Doing something intuitively might for somebody mean that they use, let's say, astrological symbolism, just as they talk about what comes to mind. They see a chart and they just get a feeling about something. In that way, they do not do astrology. It's not based on astrological techniques, the work they do. They just use astrological symbolism to get a feeling and a glimpse of something that they feel the client needs to hear. And somebody who has a good ethical standard, they will actually be able to tell you that. They will be able to say that, hey, I'm using this kind of symbolism, I work with it, but I am not trained in a specific technique or in that school, so I'm not doing actually astrology, but I use the symbolism, or I'm just, I have a basic understanding, but my kind of doing it is different. And you should know this as a client. You should get the information. And people who work ethically in a very good way, they are aware of it, and they are able to tell you how they work with their tools. Everybody in this field should be able to tell you how they work, and they should be aware of how they use their own tools. Also, what you might want to get to know is, why do the people do the work they do? Why do they do client work? What is their motivation to offer services? You want to know who that person actually is, whom you are working with. Very often it's not only the one time you want to work with somebody, so the relationship between that person who uses a specific tool of self-awareness might be in your life for longer than only that one session you have with that person. You might consult this person more often during your life, so there's really a connection there between you and that person, and it's important that if you want to get the best out of this work with that person, that you vibe together in a specific way. And then, of course, authenticity is very important. You want to have people who are authentic, people who are not afraid to let you know if, for example, there is no message for you. So if you go to somebody for a tarot reading and they just make it up because they cannot get any message or they don't understand the cards, somebody who actually knows how to work with the tarot and who knows that the tarot is only a tool, there's something behind the tool, they will not be afraid to let you know that, hey, there's no message for you today, I'm sorry. So this is authentic. Or if they feel that, hey, I'm not in the mood, my headspace is not clear, I cannot give you a reading today. That is something that you should cherish, and also seek for those people who are strong enough to let you know how their tool works and when they are ready to work with that tool. Okay, what else do I have on my list? So we started with you. You are in the active role. You consult somebody. You make the decision why you do this. You also make the decision whom you consult and what tool you want them to use. You also make the decision how you are going to use the insights and the information you gain from this reading or session you get with that person. It's really all about you. You are the first person and the last person who decides anything when you inquire somebody's services who uses tools of divination or typing systems or whatsoever. But there's something I want to tell you too. Don't use those tools only for understanding yourself and then excusing every shitty behavior you might present other people's with. So of course it always starts with who we are, understanding why we tick the way we tick. That's the beginning, but it's not the only goal there. It's just the beginning to actually work on yourself. So don't stay there with I'm screwed and I'm this because I have a Capricorn moon, or it's so hard and I cannot help myself because my Venus is in this and that sign. So this is just making excuses. It's the same with typing systems. Typing systems help you to understand some of your core fears, your potential, and also some struggles you might have. But only knowing about it won't help you in your life. It's just the beginning of a journey of self-growth. So every tool of divination, every typing system, all schools of astrology that have to do with interpreting your natal chart have to do with self-growth, self-awareness. So it's just a tool that helps you to work on yourself. That is the goal for most of the part. People who are using those tools, they want to help you to understand yourself, but you have to do the work. So only knowing your type and excusing yourself all the time because you are type 7 of the Enneagram or whatever won't help you. It explains a structure, something that works in your life. It's an insight that can help you work on yourself, but it won't do the work for you. So use the insights, use the understanding, use the knowledge you gain about your chart, about your types, but then work on yourself. Really important. People who work with divination tools, they might have been working on themselves and their gifts for a very long time, so they might be very good at using the tool they use, but they are not the only ones who have a connection to the divine. You too have that connection. And don't forget this, when you seek for somebody who reads your birth chart or gives you a tarot card reading, you are already connected to the divine. What you do when you seek out somebody who uses a specific tool is they are only people that you meet along your life. Maybe different people, maybe it's one person you work with for a long time, but they are just it's like a special situation when you go to somebody to get a reading or have a session with. But then you go back into your life, and it's not the case that the connection to the divine is broken up and you can only experience it when you have a session with somebody who is a psychic or whatever. You have this connection to the divine always, and that's also why your distinction between what kind of information you want to take in and what not is valid. So the divine helps you to find the right people and to find the right tool. Don't forget this, and trust in your gut instinct. If there's something off or you're not sure and you don't get the answer about somebody you want to work with, and you just have a feeling that holds you back a bit, trust that feeling. Take it into account when you make your decision, and understand that you make the decision to whom you go and also what you hear, what you take in. So even if you have already decided that, okay, this type of astrology is the right thing for me and I have found a person, still when you are in that consultation with that person, you are consulting that person. So you are open to listen to the messages, you might ask questions, but then in the end you evaluate what you got and what resonates with you, and then you use it. So you are always an active part. Whatever you choose to, whatever tool you choose to work with, whomever you choose to work with, it's all up to you. You are the active part, and all those tools we have are meant to be of help for us. And whatever you hear about your chart, about your types, about anything, in the end, it all should point towards using it for the highest good. of yourself, for becoming the best version of yourself, and using all the knowledge you gain to help other people. And I just feel the need to say that we all should cultivate the kind heart. That's becoming so important for me. So whatever you are going to do with your life, whatever kind of information you seek, use it to cultivate the kind heart. And don't forget that you're not alone here. There are other people out there, and whomever you interact with will leave an imprint on you. So be careful about whom you work with, but also trust that the divine is guiding you. You are not alone. We are all together. We are part of the entirety of humanity on planet Earth, but also we are part of the invisible world, of the spirit world. There is this constant connection, and the divine constantly contacts you and is there listening to you and helping you on your way. So you always can ask God or Goddess or Source, however you want to call it, for help in finding the right tools, finding the right people to help you on your way of self-growth. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful for you, and I wish you all the best for growing on your personal path, and I hope I see you next time. Bye bye.